Welcome to Toffee TV. Me and Andy here to have a chat about what strikers we think Everton could potentially bring in this summer. We've already done full-backs, centre-backs, midfield players. Oh, have we done centre-backs? We've done some. We've done
Over
wingers.
the years, we've done a lot.
We've done wingers, defenders, midfielders. We're now doing strikers. Because obviously Everton are light up front. Josh King's gone out the door. We didn't keep him. Some people will ask, was he even here? Hwang Tosin, injury again, and he'll probably go out the door next January, and that'll be him done as well. And of course, Ellis Sims is still without any real first team experience at this level. Done well at Blackpool.
So you just got Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
So definitely need another one.
Yeah, we need to put, you need for squad depth, for to push Dom, for goals off the bench depth. We different formations. We do need another striker. I think also that we don't need to spend tons of amounts on a striker. I think backup strikers, but don't be wrong, it's an important position to have goals on the bench, but I don't think Everton as a squad or as a team are at the position where you can be like Man United and have Cavani coming off the bench. We're just not at that stage yet. We'll hopefully get there, but I think being shrewd and signing maybe a loan or a signing for 10, 15, 20, just under 20 million would be the clever move, really.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's get into it, because obviously goals were difficult to come by last season. Dominic Calvert-Lewin apart. So having nobody who could contribute off.
Yeah, it's just pushing Dom when he's not. If Dom needs to miss a game or whatever, you're relying on Richarlison. And don't be wrong, obviously he won the derby for us, but he didn't have the greatest season last season. So more goals around the squad is necessary. Moise Keane, obviously who's probably be sold though.
Looks like he's going to be sold on, so we would need another striker. I think it wasn't Sigurdsson the only time a sub come off the bench and scored in the league. I know Bernard did. He
assisted off the bench in one game as well, didn't he?
So let's have a look anyway who we've got. We've got Hee-chan Hwang, 25, Red Bull Leipzig striker. Everton have been linked with him a number of times over the last 18 months. We'll just go through his numbers and then you can explain his numbers away. 26 games, 3 goals, 2 assists, shot creation at 2.65 a game, and his conversion rate is 17.6. But there is couple of caveats in that,
he's averaged a goal or assist every 141 minutes he's played. He hasn't played a lot of minutes this season. I think it's around 800. So a bit of a non-stop start season for him now. Husband trusted Sorloth and others more than him, mainly Poulsen. So it's been a difficult season. Was good at RB Salzburg, 11 goals, 11 assists the season before. Offers something different, pressing machine, high energy, would offer something off the bench late in games where Everton tend to sag in terms of energy, cause defenders pressure them into mistakes, which is what we need. And I think he can create chances, and he can play wide as well. So it gives us a plethora of options, really. And I think Marcel Brands is a noted fan.
Excellent use of the word plethora there as well, and well done. That's 26 games. A lot of those were the Josh King route at times, were 3 and 4 minutes off the bench here and there. So that isn't actually the minutes. His minutes were very low, weren't they? But his goal scoring on the system wasn't bad. But certainly at Red Bull Salzburg, double figures every season.
It's quick,
really good, nice finisher. Loves to dink over the keeper.
Strong, quick,
and can play wide.
Great nickname as well, Hwang. So obviously his name's Hwang, which means bull in Korean. So that's why they call him the bull.
There you go. So,
information you never knew you were going to get today.
No, you didn't. So get him in. No bull. Now it'd be good to get him in, and because he is something a little bit different, and it's a tone setter, isn't it? I think in a 4-3-3 at times, if you had him on one side and Richarlison on the other, pressing, and you've got Dom.
Or you could play 4-4-2, Richarlison wide, him and Dom up front. He can split off and drop into the 10 position, drop wide. You can do all sorts of things with him, and I think, he's a good player. For me personally, as I've said to you before off camera, I would do a loan. I wouldn't invest money straight away. Loan with an option to buy. It'd be quite smart business for Everton. Maybe that's what Marcel Brands would be. I think he's a smarter man than I, so yes.
Well, right, let's have a look at who we've got next. Mr. Toney. Now this fella is going to cost a pretty penny, isn't he?
We put him in because obviously we've been linked to, unlike some people seem to think these are favourite personal choices all the time. They're not. We just like to go over the people that haven't been linked with generally. And Ivan Toney obviously was linked to Everton. I've watched him this season. We'll go through his numbers.
45 games, 31 goals, 10 assists, shot creation 2.89 a game, and a conversion rate of 25%. 25 years of age, Brentford, just further example of how good Brentford are at recruiting.
5 million down and whatever Darren McAnthony sorted in add-ons. He probably has threw a bit of add-ons his way. He was at Newcastle, Northampton, didn't really work out for him, went to Peterborough, smashed I think 60 goals in 3 seasons for them. And then obviously went to Brentford and did it in the Championship, and he's now playing in the Premier League. I think if he never got up, it would have been an easy deal for teams to do, but now I think he'll stay. I like him, yeah. If people watch the playoff final, he was just superb. Holds the ball up well, big, strong, quick. I actually like him because he can create chances. I think I think he's a better passer to the ball than Tom is. I think he is a good player. If he can score goals in the Premier League, we'll see. Yeah, it's not an easy step. But Morpay's not done it. Watkins so. We'll see if he can step up. But no, he's a superb player.
Cost a few quid though, wouldn't he? Now.
Yeah, 30 million. I think obviously Dara, a piece will have a drink on it as well. So that'll be another 10%. So I think Brentford want to make money on it. I think they'll keep him because it's probably worth more if he scores goals in the league.
He keeps them up.
Keeps them up. Then you can get more money for him. But I think a Brighton or someone would have really been prime for him if
he wouldn't have come up. Or if, but it's interesting because, I mean, it just shows you, I guess, that these players are there in the lower leagues, aren't they? Still, even though there was a trend that had moved away from them. But we're seeing more and more of them being... I mean, Leeds have come up and demonstrated with some of their players that you can do. I mean, you think of, like, Luke Ayling, who's looked excellent last season. Playing. You got even Jack Harrison, I know. Jack Harrison, who was at New York City and then went to Middlesbrough on loan, and then he's obviously at Man City, but he's had 2 seasons at Leeds, proving he can do it. So there is players there, isn't there, who can do it. You look at some of the Sheffield United players have done quite well. John Egan, O'Connell.
John Lundstrom even, when he came up, did well, John Lundstrom when he came up, did well,
So there's players who can do it. But Toney, in terms of goals, you're right, this will be the season where he'll prove whether he can do it. And if he has another strong season in the Premier League, he'll still only be 20.
It's a shame, really, that he's probably not in Everton's price band, because I think as an alternative to Dom, he'd be pretty great, I think he's... Probably you couldn't play them together, I guess, because they probably end up in the same positions. But as I say, he's a really good passer of the ball, can hold the ball up well, scores goals, takes some great pens as well. And
too expensive for us to have just sit him on the bench, isn't it?
We're not at that stage yet. We're not, Man City, you can have 4 or 5 £60 million players on the bench. We've got to cut our cloth accordingly. So a player of 15, 20 million around that mark, which we'll probably get onto in a second, those types would be better.
But who knows? I mean, Everton are very interested in him.
Yeah, understandably so. I think Premier League teams inquired when he was in League One at Peterborough, just that they didn't want to take the risk at 8 million, which sounds odd now considering how much he's worth, but that's risk and reward, isn't it? Yeah,
definitely. So he is a good player, and we'll see. We'll watch the story to see whether it develops, but I think he will end up staying at Brentford for this season. Moving on, this is Terem Moffi is someone that you've watched. You noticed him before he got to France, hadn't you?
Yes, we started out in Lithuania, a club called Ritterai. He scored 19 goals in his first season. I'd watched him late in 2019 before he moved. He then moved to Kortrijk, which is Cardiff, same owners as Cardiff in Belgium. Scored 5 and 8 there. And then Lorient took the plunge, so he's been at whirlwind 12, 18 months. And he scored 14 goals in Ligue 1 that season. He's big, strong, fast. Good player. Yeah, good player. Really is a good player. I think he's going to go places. Funny, he was here in England on a scholar as a student when he was young, and he's got English agents as well. And I think the plan is to move him here eventually. Same agents as Iwobi, Joe Rebo, and others, Sancho. Yeah.
So I mean, someone you put me on to, and I've had a look at him as well, and he looks nice and quick and. At the left foot, bit Romelu Lukaku-esque at times with that left foot. But he's someone who, just because of where he's at in Lorient, I think
he's on the way up. I
think you could get him for 15, 18 million maybe, and that is probably the bracket that Everton could look at for having someone who. The thing with a lot of the strikers we're looking at as well is someone to be able to not replace Dom every week, but someone who can.
Provide the
assist. For him, I think being in a Premier League squad, he's not going to be banging the door down if he's not in the team every week while he's learning his trade.
He's going to give it time before he starts wanting to play. And he's going to push Dom at the end of the day. He's a young lad who's hungry to play. He's played elsewhere, scored goals, so he'll be ready to kick on at Everton. And this is the type of thing that we wanted Everton to do for years, is trying to get players on the way up. Because if you leave him and he goes to Marseille, he goes to Lyon, 40, 50, 60 million pounds if he does well there, and that's it then. The end of Everton. There's a bracket where there's a time and place where Everton can get players. it's about being sure and taking the risk at that point. Otherwise, you end up losing them, which often happens.
But DB one you plumb for.
I love Terem Moffi. Yeah, you know, obviously it would help me if he goes far because I've obviously recommended him to clubs. But yeah, I think he's a really good player.
Yeah, definitely. And then the final one we look at is another one who's full of potential, full of promise. Is Daryl Dike. I first seen him at. Obviously, I watch a lot of Orlando City.
Him, didn't we? Yeah.
So, seen him at Orlando City.
Was he number one pick in the draft?
He's come through.
Draft,
but similar, he reminded me of Kyle Larin, who was at Besiktas.
I like Kyle Larin, yeah.
And obviously, I've seen, again, another one I'd seen at Orlando City.
Season,
watched them train, watched them live when I was there.
Larin.
And, no, but he was someone, because at that time, he was 20, I think, 21, and he was, you know, Canadian, coming through, scored a lot of goals in MLS and got a move to Besiktas, and
struggled initially, yeah.
Took his time, but this year especially he's been really good, and linked with Everton as well. But DK's another one, again, like I say, noticed him last season for Orlando City. The decent, I think he got 8 goals in 17 games, something like that. Raw, to say that, raw, powerful, quick. But has come to Barnes, he went on loan in January and ended up playing 19 games and scoring 9 goals for them, and
with a ridiculous conversion rate.
No assists, but okay. Shot creation 2.5 on conversion rate of 31%.
What I would say is, if you know, someone obviously does the data, he overperformed. He scored a lot of goals from places you wouldn't expect him to score. He was you could call it a streaky, but before he moved to Barnes, we talked about him because you'd seen him. Yeah. I've always thought he's got potential. I didn't think he'd jump out as soon as he has. I thought it'd take him another year or two, but he certainly looks interesting. Like presses well, works hard off the ball. I think obviously it's hard to tell with, you know, we're doing this without knowing who Everton's next manager is, what the identity of the club's going to be, the philosophy, whatever you want to call it. It's tough to know, but I think he's a raw lump of clay, if you will. You can mould him how you want. He's strong, big, fast. He scores goals. Quite intelligent player, just needs to round off those, you know, rough edges, and I think he could be a player. I think they want 10 to 12, 15 million around that mark. I think he's done well in the Championship. He can adapt to a league. It's a risk. It is a risk, but then I think Everton have always had a good connection with the American players, so maybe he's the next one off the line. So yeah, I think he's a good player. It's hard to know what level he's going to be, though.
Yeah.
I think I've seen enough from Moffi in League One where I can say he's a top 5 league striker, and he played limited minutes. He didn't start every game for Lorient. DK, a little less sure on, but I understand why there's interest in him. He did well at Barnes. He presses all game, works, you know, pressures defenders, you know, causes problems. A bit like Tom did before he started scoring goals. I think that's the way you build yourself into it, yeah.
Well, for me, he's, again, like, because we talked about the price.
So that's the bracket you're looking at.
If you're talking 10, 12 million pound.
There's not much available on a free, really. You know, you've got Santos Body from River Plate. I guess with Glado not coming here, I guess that would be but he's not bad. That's a risk because he's come from South America. So it's a very difficult market. I think obviously that's why we end up with Josh King and why teams tend to sign older strikers for this position. But no, it'd be interesting to see like a DK or Moffi or Hwang. I think Hwang would be good as well. Yeah. As long as we do the right deal for what suits Everton. I think at a backup player you can take a risk. I think the fans need to be a bit easier on players when I think people expect Josh King to shoot us into the Champions League. It doesn't always work out that way. It's if they can provide a spark off the bench is what we need, and I think one of those strikers could do it. Shame we can't get Ivan Toney, but that's life.
Who, if out of the ones we just looked at, go on, just pick one.
Well, I think I'm biased on Terem Moffi, aren't I? But I'd like Hwang or Terem Moffi, I think. I think DK I like, but the rawness and not too sure what level he's going to be puts me off slightly. But no, Hwang, if he can adapt to the Premier League, he'll be good. And I think Moffi's going to be a good player. Yeah.
There you go. That's our little look at some strikers. Let us know what you think. Is there any we've left out or you think Everton could get and who could do the job for the Blues? Let us know in the comments section below. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and if you want more videos, join us on Patreon. See you later.